My name is Camille Bennett, and I've never been the loud one. Growing up, I stayed in the background, overshadowed by my father's commanding presence. A self-made man, he built Bennett and Company, a construction company, from nothing. My mother died when I was 12, leaving just the two of us. We weren't overly expressive, but our bond was deep, rooted in mutual trust that didn't require constant words. When I was 17, my father married Diane, a polished woman 10 years younger, who could charm any room. Seeing him happier than he'd been in years, I tried to embrace her. But Diane's warmth masked a calculating edge. She never insulted me outright, but her glances felt like measurements, as if I stood in the way of her ambitions. Attention, money, perhaps the life she envisioned. Subtly, she began reshaping our world, convincing my father to add her name to small assets and redecorating the house, erasing traces of my mother. My childhood faded, piece by piece. By the time I was 25, my father's health was failing. Diane took over his schedule, medications, and even business meetings. Afraid of seeming paranoid, I stayed silent. A mistake. A year later, a sudden stroke took him from me. Grief overwhelmed me, but so did an unshakable unease. Diane, shedding few tears, orchestrated his funeral with cold precision, making me feel like an outsider at my own father's goodbye. Days after, she called a family meeting. Expecting to review his will, I found only one document on the table, untouchable. "Your father left everything to me," Diane said with a chilling smile. "The house, the company, the cars, everything. You can stay for now, but legally, I'm in charge." My heart raced, but I nodded, silent. She didn't know about the conversation my father and I had 2 months before his death. In his study, with Diane away, he'd poured us tea and spoken plainly. "Camille, there are things you need to know if anything happens," he said. He'd seen Diane's subtle maneuvers, but avoided confrontation due to his illness. Instead, he'd updated his estate plans, naming me the sole beneficiary of a private trust, with Diane receiving only a modest stipend. "I want peace," he said, "but if it comes to it, you'll have the truth." His trust, handled by his lawyer and friend of 30 years, Mark Ellison, wasn't about money. It was about being seen, about carrying his values forward. After Diane's announcement, I called Mark. "Your father expected this," he said, calm and ready. "We let Diane believe she'd won, documenting her every move. She acted swiftly, dressing as a CEO, sitting at my father's desk, and firing loyal staff like Miss Keller, his longtime secretary. She funneled company funds into her personal account and turned my father's study into a spa room. Each step was evidence, collected meticulously. One day, I dropped off my father's books at the office for his rehired assistant. Diane, spotting me, smirked. "You should move on, Camille," she said. "This isn't your world anymore." I nodded, calm, knowing I held the upper hand. When Diane tried to sell a Vermont rental property owned by the trust, Mark filed an injunction. Her lawyer, outmatched, panicked as the trust document surfaced, notarized and binding. Diane's empire began to unravel. The courtroom was small, unassuming. Diane arrived in a designer suit, confident this was a minor hiccup. Her lawyer claimed she was my father's devoted caregiver, entitled to everything. The judge listened, then turned to Mark. "Your response, Mr. Ellison?" With quiet authority, Mark presented the trust, backed by damning evidence, bank statements, emails, recordings, and the unauthorized property sale. Diane's face paled. "This can't be real," she muttered, but it was. The judge's ruling was swift. The trust held. Diane had no claim beyond her stipend, and she was ordered to return misappropriated funds and resign from the company. The house was mine again, not just legally, but emotionally. I restored my father's study, returning his leather chair and books, placing his cufflinks in a glass box on the desk, a symbol of his quiet strength. But the company needed more. Diane's leadership had left it in disarray, with low morale and wavering clients. I stepped in, not with speeches but actions. I rehired unfairly dismissed staff, met with department heads, and listened. Slowly, trust returned. One day, Mr. Langford, a veteran employee, said, "You're your father's daughter. He'd be proud."